Hello Roger, thanks for coming in.
Hi, Mike.
Can you tell us a bit about this new workshop you're running for us?
Yes, I can. It's a sunflower in glass that we're going to be making. And to give you some idea what we're talking about, here's the sunflower, which at the moment may look dark, but when you put a light behind it, it glows yellow and amber, and it's a light catcher, which means you hang it in your window and the light can shine through it, which will impress you and your neighbours, and as a added bonus, it actually stops the birds from flying into your glass.
And this is the one you were making here the other day, isn't it?
Yes, I actually came to make this one so that we'd have it to be able to show during this video.
Now this workshop is 2 days. Can you explain why the workshop takes place over 2 days?
Yes, I can. You actually split this into three sections. First, you have to make the centre, the circle centre. Then you have to make the petals, and then you have to join them together. So it's 3 phases. Now, in those phases, the first one is to cut 2 sheets of glass. This happens to be a clear and a coloured one. And then, having cut them and put the little black spots, you may not be able to see them, but there are black spots in there, and we're putting those in, and we're putting the 2 together, and we're going to put them in a kiln and melt the glass, so that when it comes out of the kiln, it's one single piece of glass, which is that centre.
And that goes into the kiln on the first day, so that it's then ready for you to work with.
Right, that needs an overnight spell in the kiln, which is going to be about 12 hours, so we can't do it any quicker. And then it'll be ready for you on the second day to attach your petals to after you cut them out, of course.
So you mentioned cutting the circle, and you're doing that with a circle cutter? Can
Right,
you show us what you mean by that?
This is a circle cutter, special device designed for it. You put it on, this is a piece of scrap glass, so I'm not wasting it. Put the cutter on the glass, clamp it down, and then by rotating this, you are taking a cutter, a scorer, a little sharp wheel at the end to make a scratch all the way around in the shape of a circle. Then using techniques that we'll show you during the thing, we can then get that circle out of the piece of glass so that it looks like that.
And the students will then assemble that, and then we'll pop that in a kiln, and then nothing more to be done with that. But once that's done, what's the next step?
Right. Once you've done that, that won't take all day. So the first day, there's time left. And what you'll be doing is you'll be making the petals. Now, there are rather a lot of them. There are 48 of them. There are 16 of each of 3 colours: yellow, pale amber and light amber, and they alternate around the circle. And where they overlap, you actually get even further shades of amber coming through. So there's probably at least 7 or 8 different shades of amber in the petals when they're assembled. And what you have to do is you have to assemble 1 layer of petals on a sheet of kiln paper so it doesn't stick when it goes in the kiln. Then you have to lay the centre circle over the top of that layer, and then add a second layer of petals around first, and then once it's leaving a hole somewhere for the string that you want to hang it up with, the one all-important hole, it has to be there. And then you carry it from your bench to the kiln, or if you prefer, you can actually get Mike to carry it for you, and it goes in the kiln for a further 12 hours, which means you can't pick it up the same day that you make it.
But before we can assemble the pieces, we have to cut the petals, and I think you said there are 48.
There are 48.
How are we going to do that?
Right. We're going to take a piece of glass which is exactly 7 millimeters by 20 millimeters. Sorry, 7 centimeters by 20 centimeters. And on that sheet of glass, we have a pattern of what the petals will look like when they're cut.
So you're going to teach the students how to cut the pattern shapes, right?
Well, we're going to lay the pattern under the glass, and we're going to cut along the pattern in order to make 8 petals in one go. And then having scored them, so we don't actually cut glass, we score it and break it. Having scored them, we use these things, which are breaking pliers, and by putting them across the score line and pressing gently, the piece just pops out.
And beginners can do this?
Beginners can do it. Needs a little practice to get used to the positioning and the pressure needed on the breaking pliers.
But that's part of the...
That's part of the
workshop.
course. That's what we're here for. Teach you how to do it.
Okay, so the students have cut their 48 petals into 3 different shades.
Right.
And the next step then is to assemble the flower as you described.
Yes.
And do you think this is... How long do you think that's likely to take?
Well, because what you have to do, let me go into a little more detail. You take your first layer of petals, that's 24 petals, and you lay them onto kiln paper where you have already marked with a pencil where the centre will be. And you lay them overlapping that circle, so they're going to be underlapping the centre. Having put them down, you have to adjust them so you can get exactly 24 around the outside. That takes a little while. Having done that, what you then need to do is lift each one, a little bit of adhesive under it, put it back down in the same place. You do that 24 times. So that takes a while.
Yeah, because we want it to be done properly, don't we?
We want it to be done properly. The result depends upon it. You are making all sorts of judgments. First, you're remembering which colour goes next to which colour, which is quite important. And also, you're trying to mix up. There are, I don't know if you can see on this one, but there are long petals and short petals.
Yeah, I can see that.
You can see that?
Yeah.
So what you want is that they are evenly distributed all round the circle.
Okay.
You know, and then you get the random outline, which is typical of a flower anyway.
Yeah.
So that's why, and that takes time to get it right. And having got it right, you're then gluing them all down onto the paper, that first layer.
Yeah.
Gluing the top onto those, just a little bit of glue around the edge. And the glue we actually use is something called aloe vera, which is actually used as I think, a skin treatment. But it works very well because it all burns off completely in the kiln. You never know it's there.
And you just use that to hold pieces in place while you're working?
Just to hold them. It's not a permanent adhesive. When it's dried out, it hardly sticks at all. But you're just trying to keep them there. And then you're going to glue the next layer just straight on top with the centre in place. So you're gluing that on. And then it's fragile. It can be disturbed very easily. So that's why I say you carefully carry it on its board, on its kiln paper, to go into the kiln.
And then one of us slides it into the kiln, we pop the kiln on, and it's a tack fuse, isn't it?
That second one is a tack fuse.
Yeah,
we'll explain what we mean by tack fuse and full fuses during the course.
So there'll be time during the course to talk a little bit about kiln operation then?
Oh yes, it's an important part, because it's just possible if you came on the course, or when you come on the course perhaps, that you might want to go away and buy a kiln for yourself. And you'll need to know all these things if you're going to use it properly.
Well, it sounds like a really thorough, well thought out course, Roger. So when people want to book, how do they go about getting their place on your course?
Well, ideally you come into the studio, the Vitreus Art studio, or you ring up Vitreus Art. You'll find their number on their website. All you've got to do is look up Vitreus Art on Google. You'll come up with the website. Look on the website, you'll get phone number, give them a ring. You can also see a timetable of all the courses and when they're going to be. Yeah. And therefore you can decide when you want to come, and you can just book it by telephone.
And the website page for this course will have the dates and online booking as well. So 3 options: in person.
They can book online as well. I wasn't certain about that, right.
Fantastic. Thanks for telling us about the course, Roger. Okay. That sounds really exciting. I think I might have to do it myself. Many thanks. And we look forward to seeing everybody who's watching this video on the course soon.
Good.